Delegate-rich California looking really friendly to Donald Trump. He leads with almost 50% of the voters, followed by Ted Cruz at 22% and John Kasich at 20%. Joining me now, Kirsten, Haglund, Hipp, and Christopher Bedford. Christopher, I got to tell you, it felt like 2 or 3 weeks ago the scuttlebutt was that Cruz was starting to get momentum in California, and there were internal polls that showed him ahead. What happened?
I think, well, Donald Trump was off message for a few weeks. He was really knocked off by the whole Lewandowski affair. And since then, he's kind of brought himself a little bit back towards the middle and started to do a little bit more outreach. He's talking to Marco Rubio. He's talking about John Kasich. And, well, the old Trump still shines through. He's doing much better. And I think that also some people hyped a little bit too much on Ted Cruz. He got walloped in New York, and he's looking like he's going to get walloped in California, which will be a huge amount of delegates, 172, as many as 172, coming into Donald Trump's column.
Although, Kirsten, we knew he was going to get walloped in New York. Nevertheless, I guess knowing it and actually taking it, two different things, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel good, and next Tuesday won't feel good for him either.
No, absolutely not. And so much of this is about the perception of momentum, especially as these conversations are continuing to happen with the RNC. It's really like, who is becoming this presumptive nominee? Who is it going to be? And Ted Cruz is really going to come into California. And let's remember, it's June 7th, so there's a lot of time before that. Cruz is not going to come in there with the momentum that he needs. And Trump is so far ahead. He's ahead across all demographics. He's ahead in every region of that state. So there's really no way at this point that Cruz is going to catch up with him, and he's going to, probably gain, Trump is, most of those delegates in California.
Although, Van, we're not talking about some of the states between now and California that look like layups for Ted Cruz. If he can sweep those states and perhaps win Indiana, then he comes into California. That changes the entire narrative, wouldn't it?
Well, it could, but here's the problem right now. Look what's happened in California the last 2 weeks, and you alluded to this earlier. A couple weeks ago, the polls had Donald Trump at 39, Cruz at 31, Kasich at 25. The bottom has fallen out for Cruz in California. He's basically tied with Kasich right now in California. This is a big momentum shift in California. And I got to tell you, Kasich, very interesting on the Kasich. I call it the Schwarzenegger factor. Polls show that by a 2 to 3 or by 2 to 1 margin or better, that people who supported Arnold Schwarzenegger for governor of California like Donald Trump because they want someone strong, they want someone tough. The problem is Schwarzenegger has endorsed John Kasich. So let's see what the Terminator does. But I think but Kasich's numbers are holding right now. Cruz is the one who has seen his poll numbers really go down the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, Christopher. Again, Kasich being the wild card here, does Cruz get desperate or something and try to cut a deal with Kasich? Because it felt like they were almost there, and then we heard talk about some rumblings down at this RNC meeting this week.
He can certainly try, but there's a real difficulty for presidential candidates to cut deals with each other because they don't just have each other's cell phone numbers most of the time. They have to go through handlers. In order to call a handler or staffer, you have to tell them why you're calling, and if it's not on a victory night or if not to offer congratulations, then they're going to be very curious. Also, Kasich showed that he was really unwilling to play ball. When Marco Rubio said, hey, if you're in Ohio, vote for Kasich, not me, Kasich didn't reciprocate at all. He hasn't shown that he's willing to get along. It would be smart, and maybe for a dreamscape for the Republican establishment, they would gang together to take down Donald Trump, but they haven't shown any willingness to do so yet.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the numbers that we have in our hands that just came out right now put Donald Trump very, very close to that magic 1237.